today we're asked to give not only the drop program to the CWA union,
it's the whole city.
The whole city now. And I just think that, you know, what if the manager could tell us what is the percentage of that labor costs the taxpayers in our tax, like for every dollar of taxes, how much does labor or retirement pension take out of that dollar?
Depending on try to answer, I think what you're asking me, Commissioner, is as a percent of our budget, what do we spend on personnel and benefits, salary and fringe?
Yes.
It's generally in the 70+% range. So for every dollar you're spending, for every 70+% of the city's expenditures, general fund operating expenditures are salaries and benefits.
I've heard that figure is as much as 79%. Does that sound like it's correct to you?
I'm not sure it gets to 80 or 79. I think it's lower 70s, but it's 70 plus.
So what I thought in the spirit of I think we ought to have much more of a holistic approach to something that makes up 80% or 70 some odd percent of our budget. And rather than, you know, I know that the contract negotiations are coming up. Why are we giving something that the unions have wanted for 8 or 10, 8 years perhaps?
Thank you.
Why do we give something like this before we begin contract negotiations, number one? But I also would strongly urge that we look at the big picture. I think that you will find cities all over the country that are being bankrupted because of a failure to sort of project into the future how labor costs will affect their bottom line. And I'd like to know 5 years down the road how our labor costs and our pensions are going to affect the city and how it's going to affect the city 10 years from now, because there are cities that we can look to illustrate around the country that have actually gone bankrupt because it's easy to give a benefit today when the commissioners that sit here today will not have to necessarily bear the burden from 10 or 20 years from now. And I know that everyone here is certainly concerned and passionate about our community. And I would go further that there are some programs where you have a one-year buyout. I personally think that we have to do things to reduce our labor costs across the board. And I think that instead of encouraging perhaps an employee that's at 150 or 180 or at 160 to stay for 3 more years, maybe we could have a one-time buyout where we give them a cash buyout and we get to the point where we want to be faster. And I know that that's an alternative to a buyout program. Also, some drop programs actually require you to take less of a salary. Consequently, the word drop. Their salary actually drops. But I think we need to reduce labor costs across the board. And I think that the economy is not done bottoming out, and it is frightening. And I think that my last sort of opinion on this, for those watching, is a super-duper, very political issue. And I'm suggesting that perhaps we could have an independent body that analyzes this stuff in an objective way. It looks at the empirical data. We actually get a financial forecast of where we'll be 5 years and 10 years down the road and sort of take the politics of which, you know, this is an issue that bankrupts cities all over the country and that taxes the city's accounting and that taxes cities' budgets. So why don't we take the politics out and perhaps we can make it more of an apolitical process rather than such a strong political process.
You know,
and I think we could save money by eliminating positions as opposed to using all this empirical data to say, well, if we have the same positions, we will save money. I think we ought to eliminate a lot of the positions, or not a lot, but some, and maybe approach this problem from a different perspective.